Welcome back to the Tipsy Tailgate, episode number 10. I'm Maiden Algrobly.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Jake.
And we've got a good one for you guys today. We're going to go into Sam Darnold and his trade from the Jets to the Panthers. Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, and that whole situation unfolding with the 49ers moving up to pick number 3. Also with what's going to happen with the Falcons at pick number 4. And we're going to get into some Baylor over Gonzaga. March Madness champions. Kind of a crazy game. Not many people expected it. And then we'll also touch on the Masters, which is starting this Thursday a little bit. So let's get into the Sam Darnold trade. I know we got a Jets fan right here. I'm going to let him take over.
You know, Sam Darnold was a guy that I really liked. A 23-year-old quarterback going into his 4th year with a whole new system. I think the best Jets coaching staff that they've had and the best management they've had in a decade. I think if we would have given him one more shot, it might have worked. It might have not worked also. But I trust our GM and Joe Douglas. I trust what he's doing. I think Zach Wilson is going to pan out and be a good quarterback. We have 7 picks in the next 2 years in the first 2 rounds. You can surround a quarterback with talent, which is something that the Jets ceased to do with Sam Darnold, and it ruined his career. I think they need to go out and get a veteran quarterback, somebody that can mentor Zach Wilson, maybe Alex Smith, because he did the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. I don't think the Jets are a win-now team, but I think if they can develop guys, they will become very easily a win-now team. I think Carolina, if they weren't in the division that they're in, would get a lot better. I saw a stat that they were supposed to lose one more game if Sam Darnold was the starter compared to if Teddy Bridgewater was the starter. I don't see how that's true.
I disagree with that completely.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that Sam Darnold is a much better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater. I just think he was never given a shot. Put him in the right system. He's back with Robbie Anderson. He has weapons. He has a running back to take the load off of him. I think it's a win-win for both teams. The Jets, I saw a comment that said the Jets got nothing and still stole this trade from the Panthers. Because if Sam Darnold doesn't work out, it was a great trade for the Jets. But then again, if Sam Darnold does work out, the Jets still got something, and the Panthers got their quarterback of the future. I'm upset to see Sam go, but at the same point in time, it needed to happen.
I think it was a great trade for both sides. I think that both the Jets and Sam Darnold needed a fresh start. I think that's why they did, regardless of whether there's going to be new management, new coaching. I think Sam needs to get out of New York. And I think that the Panthers are actually set up to have a really good team, a really competitive team. And, you look at that division, it's besides the Bucs, it's kind of up in the air. We don't really know what to expect from the other 3 teams.
There's good defenses in that division.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, and, you see what they gave up, a 6th round this year and then a 2nd and 4th the year after, I don't think that was too much to give up for Sam Darnold at all. You bring him to a great situation where they have Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey if he stays healthy. And then, you have 2 guys like Jeremy Chin and Brian Burns on the defense. So I think the Panthers are set up to be a really good team this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the offense will actually work. I'm a big fan of Joe Brady and what he did at LSU with Joe Burrow. And now he's going to be getting, I guess you could say, a similar quarterback to Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold. He could sling it. Obviously, Darnold's a little bit more careless with the football than Burrow ever was.
Yeah.
But Darnold, he has that big playability. And with Matt Rule and Joe Brady, it could definitely work out. He's also going to have Robbie Anderson to stretch the ball deep with back again. They were together in New York, but it wasn't.
It worked well in New York.
It worked well. It wasn't as great of a year for Robbie Anderson as he had last year on the Panthers. But now you reunite them. I actually think that this offense is going to be a very good offense. And obviously, anytime you have Christian McCaffrey, you're going to be able to produce.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think in terms of what the Jets got back? Do you think they got more than they got, than they should have, less, or right about where you expected?
I honestly think it was a very fair trade. I think if this were last year, maybe Sam Darnold would have been worth the first round.
Yeah, I think last year he would have been.
Right, but this year, as soon as he was traded, the Panthers signed his 5th-year option, which guarantees him $25 million. That's a heavy price tag to pay for a guy like Sam Darnold. So I don't think the Panthers gave up too much. I think the Jets got exactly what they needed to build around a quarterback.
Yeah, and this pretty much secures Zach Wilson going to the Jets. Are you happy about that? Or
I wasn't the biggest Zach Wilson guy because I think he does have some flaws. I think they need to bring in a guy to mentor him, but I think under LaFleur's system, I think he's going to thrive. It's the offense he's played in for the past 4 years. He's used to it. I think the Jets do need to draft a running back. They do need to draft a lineman, and they need to draft a corner. I think if we can do that and maybe have a little surprise pick in the 4th or the 5th round, they'll be very good.
Yeah, and I saw something that the past 4 MVPs of the league in the NFL have been quarterbacks who have sat at least, I think it was at least 8 weeks in their first season. So, it goes back to that. The Jets are definitely going to have to get a stopgap guy. I feel like in ways they should have kind of gotten Teddy Bridgewater back and just had Teddy for a couple weeks.
Yeah, to mentor Wilson.
Yeah, just to kind of give Wilson some time to learn because obviously BYU he's not an NFL ready quarterback in terms of competition wise yet. But they're gonna have to do something. I don't think there's any chance Wilson starts day one.
What do you guys think? I know we're gonna touch on this a little bit later. What do you guys think this does for the Panthers at the draft?
I think they either go address their issue with O-line, because they still do have a whole O-line.
Yep.
I think you're still in the market for a weapon.
Do you think there's any chance that they trade down now that they have the quarterback position secured?
100%. Because their defense, yes, they do have a good defense, but they're still a playmaker away from having that top 10 defense. So I think that they're really in the market for anything at this point.
And listen, the Chiefs got rid of both of their tackles, and they got Joe Thuney. But what about the Chiefs here? What if they give up a bunch of draft picks for this year, maybe next year too, and they trade up to, what are the Panthers, 9, 8?
8, I think.
And they go and they grab a Sean Slater.
Yeah.
That would be a great move for them. Or the Panthers getting Slater, or if Sewell drops to them.
Yep.
Anything to give Darnold kind of extra protection, or you just pad the defense. I think this puts them in a really good situation.
I think there will be several teams at the draft looking for this pick.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Well, the rumor had it, the reason why they went after Darnold was because the 49ers moved up after Justin Fields' pro day. Because apparently, and we saw it, he had a very good pro day.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to be the third quarterback taken. I think the Panthers knew that they might not be in the market for the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft. Yeah. So, you got to go out and get a guy who probably is going to be better than I would say Sam Darnold's going to be better than Trey Lance as of right now.
Yeah, he's definitely proven more than Trey Lance has proven.
With that being said, I think at this point Trey Lance has a higher ceiling than Sam Darnold does.
But he's also, I'm pretty sure Sam Darnold's younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he is. Sam Darnold's
right? He's only 23 years old.
He's one of the youngest quarterbacks in the NFL still.
Yeah.
I think it's all speculative right now. You just have to see Sam Darnold work. You have to see him reach kind of a little bit of what his potential could be. And then we could talk.
I also think that Sam Darnold and Trey Lance are the kind of guys where they need to be in the right spot, and I think Darnold now is. Yeah. I think it just depends where Lance goes.
I actually really like this landing for Darnold.
And I saw on an Instagram story today, Darnold's friends threw him a party, and he looks so happy. He's done with everything.
He was thrilled.
I'm happy for him because he was never in the right system. Anybody that gets out of New York besides Jamal Adams, I hope they do great things wherever else they go. And you know what? If it's a Panthers-Jets Super Bowl one of these days, then I'll be a very happy guy.
I don't see that happening.
Well, all right. So let's get into Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, that whole situation. The 49ers obviously moved up to pick number 3. We talked about it a little bit on last pod. So there's a lot of talk. 49ers, a lot of sources close to the 49ers that had the first initial reaction that there was a trade going on. Now we're saying that the 49ers and John Lynch and Shanahan, they love Mac Jones. So, do you trade up that much for Mac Jones, a guy who could have potentially fell 10-15? Or is this more of a secure your guy, we love Mac Jones, we don't even want him to take a chance not getting him? Or is this all smokescreen and they're actually in the Trey Lance and Justin Fields sweepstakes? What do you think?
I think that Mac Jones is easily the third best quarterback out of those 3. I don't think that it would be worth trading that high up in the draft when you really could have taken him with the 15th pick or wherever they were, as you just said. If I were them, I would go with Fields or Lance. But, if Shanahan loves him that much, I also think that Kyle Shanahan has a bit of a history here of, thinking he's the smartest guy in the room. We've seen it in both Super Bowls. Maybe he's doing the same thing here, saying everyone else is wrong about Mac Jones. I'm right about Mac Jones. Hopefully he doesn't get in his own way.
I think Mac Jones, his ceiling in the NFL is a Matt Stafford, whereas Justin Fields' ceiling is more of a Cam Newton with an arm.
Yeah.
I think Mac Jones, he's ready, he can make the reads, he's smart, but he also had two of the best receivers in the country playing against SEC defenses that notoriously were not very good this year at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a guy...
And pretty much the best running back in the league, too.
Right.
So.
He's a guy that had every weapon imaginable, as most Alabama quarterbacks do. And what happens when they get to the NFL and they're not surrounded by the best talent in the world? They can't produce the same way.
You go from throwing it to the open receiver because they're that much better than the guy they're against, to then you have to throw people open in the NFL. And that's a huge, if you're not accustomed to throwing people open and you have to kind of make that step in the NFL, that's probably the hardest step you could take besides maybe being like a one option and not looking at your check downs. Those are the two biggest things that you kind of have to immediately get in, as well as feeling pressure. But if he's not going to be able to throw people open, it's just going to be interceptions. It's going to be... So, who knows? Obviously, Shanahan is a brilliant offensive guru. But, you look at it again, I think I think it all depends on what they do with Jimmy G. If they keep Jimmy G, if they go ahead and draft Trey Lance or Justin Fields, and you give him a couple weeks, like I said, 8 weeks to a year behind Jimmy Garoppolo, you really don't have any rush if you're the 49ers, in my opinion. You have a young team. Nick Bosa, all those boys are young. You got a young squad. So you go ahead, you sit on it a year, you train a guy up, get him right for the system, Trey Lance or Justin Fields maybe, and I think that's better than forcing Mac Jones in. Yes, he's probably more NFL ready than those two, but in a way, it's kind of, I look at it kind of like the Kyle Kuzma situation. He'll come in, he had a great year, but he's never gonna repeat that or do that again.
And he's not gonna grow.
He's not gonna grow. So are you looking for 2 good years in the beginning, maybe win a Super Bowl there, which is probably never gonna happen with a quarterback that young? Or do you look for a guy in maybe 4 to 8 years is going to be a top quarterback in the league? So I think that's a situation they look at, and obviously...
Yeah, and as you guys were saying about Alabama quarterbacks, even a guy like Tua, we were saying tank for Tua at one point, and look how he's looked in the NFL. He's been rather shaky, so I really I would not really get it at all if the Niners went with Mac Jones with this pick.
I would also disagree too. If you're drafting a guy like Justin Fields, and I don't think they're going to take Trey Lance with the 3 pick, because I don't think you can have that much trust in a guy like Trey Lance.
There's so much unknown about Trey Lance. I don't think he's pickable at the 3rd pick.
I think I don't know if it was Mike Mayock, but one of the gurus of the draft said that he is the most mysterious prospect they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you just don't know.
He had 42 touchdowns, but that's total touchdowns. He had 28 passing touchdowns compared to Joe Burrow's 60.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing FCS football as well. I think Trey Lance makes very smart decisions. I think he's a hell of an athlete. He also hasn't played football in a year, and he hasn't played against great football competition. Mm-hmm. You look at the last guy from an FCS school to get drafted like that, it was Carson Wentz. And he had 1 great year, but he also had 3 average to bad years, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I think if you go ahead and draft a guy like Justin Fields and have a little quarterback competition in camp with Jimmy Garoppolo, nobody would disagree that Justin Fields is a much better athlete than Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think Fields is the guy for the 49ers.
Exactly. And I think that Justin Fields could ultimately take over this team and put this team in a very good place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually saw a lot on Twitter. People were like, "Oh, the 49ers aren't taking Justin Fields. They weren't at his pro day." But at the same time, Justin Fields, if you've watched, he was the number 2 quarterback in the nation as a high schooler. So they know Justin Fields. They know all about Justin Fields already. They've talked to the Ohio State coaches. They know if you're not at his pro day, I don't think it's the end of the world. No. And so people saying, "Oh, they're not going to take him just because of that." Not necessarily. I don't really agree with that. Obviously, going to Mac Jones's and then not going to his, a little bit of a tell. But I don't really think that matters. I think it's still up in the air. And it puts, and let's turn it to this. It puts big situation on for the Falcons. Whoever the Niners take at 3, say the Patriots are looking to move up to 4 with the Falcons, which is very real. It's very possible. Yeah. Say the 49ers take Justin Fields and surprise some people. Mm-hmm. And then it's Trey Lance and Mac Jones left for the Patriots who want to trade up, but they wanted Justin Fields. That changes the whole game plan.
Yeah,
well, I mean, and
I think I think the same can be said for Atlanta. What if Atlanta has their heart set on Fields and the Niners go and take him? Then I think they would trade out of that spot or take Pitts.
And I think this could be a trade if it does go through. That happens right after the pick because if Justin Fields is still there, like you said, Atlanta boy, Georgia born. He might want to stay there. They love him probably.
Yeah.
They might take him. It might be you either trade back or we take our franchise quarterback for the future, and that's going to be like a split-second decision possibly.
I could see the Patriots also trading with the Falcons for this pick. I don't think I was a big fan of Mac Jones to the Patriots, but I saw Belichick, videos of Belichick at Mac Jones' pro day. He did not look too happy with what he saw. So I don't know the market for the Patriots and Mac Jones. I think if Justin Fields is available, if you're the Patriots, would you give up a first, a second, and maybe a player for that pick?
I would.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things you could do. If you're looking to move up to 4, I don't know how much necessarily you would take. Definitely a lot, but like Stephon Gilmore, possibly, potentially our first Gilmore, and then N'Keal Harry maybe. Something like that. I don't really know. It may probably throw in another pick too. It's a hot market right now for quarterbacks, so it's going to be a high asking price, I think, no matter what, right?
Yeah, it will be. And as time goes on, this draft keeps getting even more interesting. A draft that I already thought was going to be the most interesting by far. It's just getting even more so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, honestly, I could see it if it comes down to it, and it's like we know how the Jets are most likely set on Wilson, if that comes out for Mac Jones and the Niners, and then we have the first 3 picks set up, I think if the Patriots make a move for pick number 4, I think there's a team, maybe the Broncos, go and try to trade up to pick 5, and then go first 5 QBs.
Yeah.
You see all these people going in for QBs.
At that point, if there's 4 taken, you have to get aggressive.
You see how hot the market is, you have to go ahead, and you can't wait. I mean, you're going to wait, and then you lose your franchise quarterback, you don't have a plan. It's not an option. If you really want a guy, you move up and you go get him. So I could definitely see something like that. And obviously the Bengals need, I think the Bengals are at 5. The Bengals need
they need
a lot of help.
They need Penei Sewell.
They need a lot of help, and they especially need Penei Sewell.
If I'm the Bengals, I do not trade out of that spot.
But what if it's with the Broncos? You go to pick number 9.
Yeah.
You go to pick number 9. You get maybe
Unless the Bengals would be fine with either Sewell or Slater,
that's what I'm saying.
Then they should trade out of that pick.
You get some more picks you're obviously going to need. It's a very, very disorganized team. You got a bunch of picks, and you get maybe the second guy. But a lot of people are saying that Slater might jump up and be the guy ahead of Sewell before the draft, and it's trending that way recently. We obviously have to see. It's hard to. You're going to sit down and watch tape of some tackles. Like it's difficult for people to know, but it's one of those things where eye test. Yes, Penei Sewell does it better than anyone.
Yeah.
So we'll obviously get into that more. Let's go into the March Madness. Crazy game on Monday. Baylor over Gonzaga. I don't think many people saw it. Everyone saw Gonzaga in their perfect season. The three-headed offense right there. Actually, both teams really three-headed.
Yeah.
There's Suggs, Timmy, and then number 24. If I'm blanking on his name. And then Baylor has the 3 guards that have been producing all year. Amazing. And it was one of those things where Gonzaga had no close games. They were blowing out teams every single week. So. It was one of those things that came out, and once Baylor jumped out kind of to a lead, everyone was like, oh, wow, this could be interesting.
And I think Gonzaga felt the same way. I think they got a little shocked as to how hot Baylor started. You see that happen a lot, even, especially with non-professional teams. Yeah. The ones that are dominant, if they get hit in the mouth early, it's hard for them to come back from that.
Baylor jumped out to an 11-1 start early on in the game. And I think that was just the biggest confidence boost that Baylor had, because going into it, you're saying, we're playing an undefeated team, everything is on the line, they're great, they have one of the, 3 the first team All-Americans on their team.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? But my favorite thing about March is that it doesn't matter. You see all these, lottery picks playing. They'll never beat the team of seniors that just wants it more.
Mm-hmm.
The team of seniors that have played together, that know this is their last ride, that are literally would die to win this game. They will never beat that. That freshman will never beat that team.
I think it was a perfect combination of Baylor getting all types of confidence and Gonzaga's confidence just hitting bottom of the barrel, absolute zero.
I kind of think partly it has to do with you see Suggs hit that game winner, obviously one of the greatest moments of the year in sports, and that was a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's a league-ready player.
Yep.
But you see that shot, and it's kind of like, oh wow, Gonzaga's on top of the world, like they're destined to win, and Baylor's probably watching that like, we can't stand it. Like we're gonna shock the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for sure, like when I played baseball, if we saw something like that from a team and we're going to a big game, we're using anything as motivation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Baylor's like, we're gonna quiet it down. We're gonna shake the world right now. So that was a great win. Not as entertaining of a game as we would have wished. But definitely a great game for Baylor. So let's get into really quickly. The Masters is coming up this Thursday. Golf is growing on me. I've been watching more and more, and I'm probably gonna tune in for a decent amount of the Masters. I don't know about you guys.
I'll definitely watch the final round on Sunday.
Yeah, I will as well.
Yeah. So we're gonna just give our quick thoughts and who we have winning. I'll go first. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. I'm gonna go ahead and I think Justin Thomas is gonna pull this one out. It's honestly, you never know in golf. It could be a guy having a hot week, or it could be just the go-to guy. And there's a lot of, right now, Justin Thomas is sitting at plus 1,150 right now. That's his odds to win, and then plus 275 for top 5. So he's right about, I think he's fourth on the odds, fourth best odds, followed by, in order, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, and Jordan Spieth. So what do you guys got?
I'm going to go with Dustin Johnson to repeat at the Masters. I think he's going to come in hot, ready to go, and I think he's going to get it done. A sleeper, though, a guy I want to give a little bit of love, is Lee Westwood. He just finished second in the Players. He's been playing out of his mind, maybe the best golf of his career. So
he's plus 5,000 to win.
And, this would be his first major, so I'd be really happy for him to win.
Yeah, and I have Patrick Reed, a guy that's already won a Masters. Some people called it a fluke, but in his last 10 outings, he's had 7 top 25 finishes and 3 top 10 finishes. He's not supposed to, be in the top 5 of this, event, but I don't know. Might as well.
You never know. You never know.
And Reed's at plus 3,500. Thank you for watching episode 10, I believe, right?
Yep.
And we'll see you at episode 11.